What is going on, YouTube? Joe here with Color Nation Media, and today we are here for another episode of CM Strats. We're looking at an OU Pokemon this time around, finally, Scizor. And I run a Choice Band set, so we're going to be going into that today. But before I get started, if you would like to show some support to the channel and the series, which I'm hoping you guys do, all you got to do is click that thumbs up button right below this video because it helps out way more than you would think. And, I mean, feel free to write a comment as well. Tell me how you run your Scizor. I'm curious, because I always am looking for new ideas. So just let me know what works for you and what your thoughts are on this set. And also, maybe, I don't know, let me know what you had for dinner last night, because, I mean, I could always use a good idea for some different food. I mean, why not? Why not? Alright, let's take a look at this Scizor here. I run a Choice Band set, as I said, which is pretty darn standard-ish. I guess Mega Scizor has become the standard in OU for running a Scizor just in general, and we all know that OU players love their cookie cutter standard things. I mean, I guess, to be fair, Choice Band is fairly standard as well. It was very standard last gen. I've tweaked it a little bit, added some things, my own little twist on it and what works well for me. I'll give you some other options once we get down to the moveset, but that's pretty much that. Let's take a look at the nature. Adamant is usually the way to go. I guess you could run Jolly, but at base 65 speed. Scizor doesn't really need that boost in speed. It doesn't really help that much, so maximizing your damage output with Adamant is usually the way to go. As for the EVs, I run 248 HP, 252 attack, and the rest goes into special defense. And basically the way the setup works is that, you know, you're maximizing your bulk because you are fairly slow, so you're gonna have to take a hit now and then you're maximizing your damage output as well. There's a couple of things that we can go over here with this spread. First of all, why in the world do I have 248 in HP and not 252? The main reason for that is because it's a better number for Stealth Rock. It allows Scizor to switch into Stealth Rock one extra time, because it just gives you... It's a better number for Stealth Rock. That's basically how I want to put it. So if you're going to be switching in, Stealth Rock is on the field because you either lost your Defogger or your Spinner or whatever it may be, or you're not running one for whatever reason. Yeah, having that HP spread is a little bit better. Now, you can put the 8 speed into, or the 8 that I put into special defense into speed if you really wanted to, or you could put it into defense. I just put it into special defense because that's the lower of Scizor's 2 defense stats. He doesn't really need the boost in speed at all unless you're trying to outspeed other Choice Banded Scizors that are uninvested in speed, which I really don't think is that important because other Scizors aren't going to be doing that much to you anyway because you resist just about all of their moves. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, you could opt to run a little bit of speed investment, maybe like 100 and something EVs that you'd have to calc it to outpace uninvested or minimally invested base 70 or base 75 Pokemon. If you really feel like that speed is worth it, then you could take away from your bulk a little bit. I prefer the Adamant with as much HP investment as possible. That's just my preference. I like to be able to take a hit here and there because even if you're using this in mixed tier, not OU, you're still slow. You're still base 65 speed. You're still going to have to take a hit here and there. So I'd rather have the extra HP. The item of choice here is the Choice Band because, I mean, obviously we're not running Mega Scizor. There's not really much else you could run on a set like this. I mean, I guess you could run lefties, but that's a completely different set, and it would probably have Roost and or Defog, or maybe even Swords Dance. That's just something different, has nothing to do with what this set is. So we're going with the Choice Band. Now the ability, Scizor gets Swarm, Technician, and Light Metal. Light Metal just decreases your weight, or halves it, I believe. So if you're really worried about like Grass Knot, for instance, or Low Kick, which you should not be with a Scizor, I guess you could run that, but probably not. Then we have Swarm, which increases Bug-type moves in a pinch when you get below 1/3 of your maximum HP, and that really only works with U-Turn. I guess it could have a niche use to give you a boost in power, but Technician works much better alongside a Bullet Punch and Quick Attack, because what Technician does, if you don't know, it increases the power of moves by 1.5 times if the base power is less than 60. So we have Bullet Punch and Quick Attack below that will get boosted by that. Now, as for the moves here, First, and pretty much the obligatory move, I mean, I guess you could run Bug Bite if you really wanted to, which also gets boosted by Technician, but I prefer U-Turn because on a choice set, whether it's Scarf or Band or Specs or whatever Pokemon it is, U-Turn and Volt Switch are fantastic moves to run on choice sets because you don't have to stay in and be locked into a move, you can get momentum for your team, and if it's a Band or a Spec set, you're dealing extra damage. And Scizor just gets a bonus because while it doesn't get boosted by Technician, it is a stab move, and it's one, if not the most powerful U-turn in the game, it is one of the most powerful in the game. It's incredibly, incredibly powerful, coming off a base 130 attack stat, and like I said, it also gets stab as well, so it's just going to deal a crap ton of damage. It does a sizable chunk to even sometimes things that resist it. Now, the other obligatory move on this set is the Bullet Punch. It gives you a form of priority, which is boosted by Technician and is stab. So it does a poop ton of damage, whatever a poop ton is. I guess it's just, it's a lot, basically. Steel is not the best coverage type offensively, because it is resisted by water and electric and fire and other steel types, but still, it has some great coverage for fairy types this generation, and they're kind of running all over the place, and Sylveon is in OU, so having Bullet Punch is great. And yeah, I mean, it also is great for rock types as well if you need help removing them. They're not that common in OU, but you never know about mixed here, so. But in general, it's your basic form of priority. Like I said, it gets boosted by stab, it's gonna hurt. Now, the other two moves are things that you can kind of switch up. They're not essential to the set working. And I'll go over some of the other options before I go over what I run. First of all, if you're playing in OU and you're just going to be using this for OU, you're not using this for mixed here or just battling casually or whatever it may be. I mean, I guess if you're using it casually, you shouldn't be thinking about running a set like this anyway. But that's besides the point. Superpower is definitely an option for Scizor because a big switch in an OU and one of the big quote-unquote counters or checks, I guess, to Scizor, be it Mega Scizor and Choice Band Scizor, is Heatran, and people love to switch in their Heatrans on Scizor, and you don't really have much else to hit it other than Superpower. You can hit it super effectively, and I believe with a Band, you probably are going to be able to one-shot it. Somebody can calc that for me in the description below, because for some reason I didn't think about that before the video. I should have, but I did not. I just did not. But yeah, either way, it's going to be either one-shot it or it's going to do a whole crap ton of damage. And depending on, you know, the spread of the Heatran, or if you got your Choice Band to take off, you could, or knocked off, you can always stay in and Bullet Punch it to death or something. I don't really know. Point is, the Superpower is there to handle Heatran switch-ins. It doesn't have the best coverage outside of that in OU. You don't really have a lot of things that are going to switch into Scizor that you want to nail with a Superpower. So that's why I'm not really running it. Or not really running it. I'm not running it. I'm not. I don't use it on my set at all. Another option is Thief, which is something that I do normally run on Scizor, but I've decided that the boost from the Technician isn't really worth it, and the utility from Knockoff is. So that's why I chose Knockoff as opposed to Thief, because Thief, Dark type coverage does have a lot of use, not just in OU, but in general because of the Steel nerf for one. So Psychic types and Steel types that have other weaknesses to Dark, like Metagross, Thief is great. Thief is awesome, but I mean, you're not stealing an item, it's just there for coverage. I mean, it's great for Ghost types as well. But, like I said, Knockoff I feel is just better because you can knock off items. It has great utility. Unfortunately, it's not boosted by Technician, but it has a high base power the first time around. So there you go. There you go. Now, as for the third and I guess final move, fourth and final move, it's number 3, but it's the 4th move I'm going over, is Quick Attack, which is something you very rarely see on Scizor, and it gives another Technician boosted form of priority to Scizor. Granted, it does not get stab like Bullet Punch does, so it's not going to be packing nearly as much of a punch, but what it does is it allows Scizor to come in and pick off threats that it would normally not be able to with Bullet Punch, such as Charizard, because Charizard resists the Bullet Punch, so in a lot of cases, it gets to the point where it's iffy if you're going to be able to take it out with a bullet punch, and it's usually not worth the risk, because if you get low rolls or it just is barely not enough to take out the Charizard, you go down to a Fire Blast or a Flare Blitz or a Flamethrower, or basically you just get one-shotted by a Fire-type move, and that's just what it is. So coming in and being able to pick off weakened Fire-type Pokemon is fantastic, especially if you don't have anyone else on your team that can do that, and you get the power boosted by the Choice Band, so Quick Attack hits a lot harder than you would expect it to. And that's the main reason that I run it. Like I said, Superpower could be run in that slot, but its only use really is to hit Heatran, and that, to me, is not worth the utility that Quick Attack provides. So there you go. Now, we haven't even really gotten into partners yet. I've spent a lot of time talking about this set. But as for partners, I'm not going to go over it too in depth, but obviously you want something that can handle Fire-type Pokemon. Something that can handle the Charizards if you're in OU, because they are definitely a problem. You're not taking them on from full health. They come in, you have to switch out, and you need something that can handle them. So other faster Dragon-type Pokemon can handle Charizard X. You can't switch into it, but you can always, if you can outspeed it, you can nail it with the Dragon Claw, you can nail it with an Outrage. Scarf Chomp works very well for this. If the Charizard X is in and it hasn't gotten up a Dragon Dance, or if it's running Swords Dance for some reason, which is very uncommon, but if it does, you bring in Scarf Chomp, you can Outrage it, and down it goes. As for Charizard Y, I mean, I found that Mega Manectric actually works fairly well, because you can outspeed, you can Volt Switch, and it doesn't kill in one hit, but you can get some momentum and switch into a Resist and wear it down that way. They don't usually carry Roost. Sometimes they do, but most of the time, from what I've seen, they don't carry Roost, so that is the thing. You definitely want something. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're bringing something to handle the Charizards, you should be okay. Something to handle Heatran is another big thing. Anything that has a fighting type coverage would be great for that. And usually Heatran is especially defensive, so having physical fighting type moves is always a plus. If you're in mixed tier, Arcanine can be an issue because it outspeeds you. It can burn you with a Willow, it can one-shot you with a Flare Blitz, it gets Intimidates off. Arcanine is just an issue, and a lot of times they like to run Rocky Helmet, so if you're U-turning out, you're still going to take chip damage, and it's just an unfortunate time. So having something that can handle Arcanine is great as well. Now, other than that, you also want something that's going to be able to take out physical walls, because as powerful as Scizor is, you're not always going to be able to break through things that have extremely high defensive stats. So a good special attacker that can break through some of the premier physical walls, like if we're talking about physically defensive Charizard X or physically defensive Arcanine, which, I mean, these are just Pokemon I mentioned already, and you're not going to see physically defensive Arcanine in OU probably, but physically defensive Charizard X is a real thing. You need something that can attack on the special side that can take out threats like that. That way Scizor can come in later on, and while this set is not meant to sweep because you're not putting up Swords Dances, you're not boosting or anything like that, Scizor will be in a great position to be able to clean things up later on, and your opponent won't have those switch-ins. So there you go. There you go. I'm sure I missed things. I guess I should probably mention that in general, Water-type Pokemon are a fantastic partner for Scizor. I'm not going to mention specific Pokemon. It doesn't really matter if they're bulky or not, but Water-type Pokemon are fantastic. Actually, Gyarados works very well. Unfortunately, they don't synergize as far as Gyarados' Electric-type weakness, but Gyarados can almost always switch in on Fire-type attacks, especially physical ones with the Intimidate, so that's something to keep in mind. I'm sure there are plenty of other perfectly viable partners for Scizor. Obviously, I only touched on to like 2 or 3. I'm sure there are plenty more, but I just gave you general ideas for what to think of when you are trying to plan some teammates for Scizor. So that's pretty much it for the set. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you're leaving a thumbs up rating or a dislike rating if you really hated it, and you can tell me how stupid and standard I am in the comment section below. Seriously, if you disliked the video, make sure you leave some feedback. A lot of people have been disliking videos lately, and I never see any constructive criticism, so that doesn't really that doesn't really help at all. If you really disliked it, just let me know why, so I can try to make it so that we all enjoy the videos in the future. And for those of you that have been commenting and liking videos for a while now, thank you very much for your support. You guys are awesome. You really, really are. I love, you know, waking up every day and coming and checking out the comments and the videos and all that stuff and seeing you guys on there. It's just an awesome feeling. So, with that being said, that's going to be it for this episode, and I will see you all for the next one. But until then, game on.